The United Kingdom is ready to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian cities with the UK-made cruise missiles Storm Shadow. Russian dictator Vladimir Putin, in response to this, threatens a war with NATO. He said that this decision could bring NATO at war with Russia. At the same time, the United States still hesitates to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia, despite the fact that the UK government is ready to do so. So why is London ready to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia, but the United States still is afraid of this decision? And how does Russian dictator Vladimir Putin react to this decision, and what does he say about this breaking decision, this turning point of this war, this crucial and decisive decision of the Western allies? The Times reported that the next week there could be a major news from the United States. The next week there is a big expectation that Western leaders next week will decide to finally allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with British-made Storm Shadow cruise missiles. There was an important meeting between US President Joe Biden and the Prime Minister of the Great Britain, Keir Starmer. However, no final decision was made after this meeting. Keir Starmer said that another negotiations would take place next week in New York during the UN General Assembly. Also, The Guardian reported that the UK would be ready to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia. It seems like the UK government is not afraid of Putin's bluff and is not afraid of Putin's threats, because the UK government is ready to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with long-range cruise missiles Storm Shadow. However, US President Joe Biden and his administration, they are still afraid of Russia's nuclear threats, and they hesitate to allow Ukraine to strike Russia with US-made ATACMS missiles. There is a big split in the Biden administration on this matter, because there is no unity about this matter among the members of the Biden administration, because they are too cautious and they are afraid of possible escalation from the Russian side. Also, they said that they face some problems with the stockpiles of such missiles, and according to Biden administration, lots of valuable Russian targets are redeployed out of the range of ATACMS systems. However, the Institute of Study of War debunked this thesis, this statement from the White House, from the US officials, and said that there are still a lot of targets which could be destroyed by the Ukraine if the United States gives a green light to Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian territory. So the next week the US should allow UK to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian territory with UK-made cruise missiles. Also, former British defense ministers and former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson urged UK government to allow Ukraine to strike Russian territory with UK-made missiles even without the green light from the United States. They stressed that any further delay would only encourage Russian dictator Vladimir Putin. Also, it's a dereliction of duty. Also, Boris Johnson said that there is no reason to delay this decision to allow Ukraine to attack valuable targets inside the Russian Federation. Also, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said that he would support this decision to strike deep inside the Russian, and he said it's impossible to avoid any risks during the war. So it's important to take risks and allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia to degrade Russia's capabilities and to destroy Russia's airfields, which are used by Russian side for attacks on Ukrainian civilians and on Ukrainian civilian targets inside our country. At the same time, the former national advisor to the US President John Bolton said that there are lots of concerns regarding escalation in the Biden administration. According to John Bolton, US President Joe Biden is played by the Russian bluff. He is played by Russian bluff and manipulations. That's why he is afraid of allowing Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian soil. John Bolton emphasized that Russia is not capable to wage a conventional war against NATO countries, so dictator Vladimir Putin's statements about confronting the West about a war against NATO are bluff that allies, including current US President Joe Biden, fell for. Also, Bolton called it completely non-strategic approach from the defense capabilities from the United States, according this matter. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz excluded and said that he would not allow Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian territory with the German-made weapons. Also, he means German long-range cruise missiles towers, which could be used by Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian territory to destroy Russian military installations there. Olaf Scholz says that he would not support this decision in any case, despite the fact also even if all Western allies agree to allow Ukraine to strike deep inside the Russian territory, Germany will not allow Ukraine to do that. So there is a big fear of escalation in Berlin. Also, they are too cautious to allow Ukraine to do so, and there have been lots of such statements from German Chancellor Olaf Scholz in the past. However, there is still a big level of fear in the Berlin to allow Ukraine to do so, to do its job and to win this war and to destroy Russian military installations on the Russian territory. Also, he said that German government would not reconsider its decision, and at the same time former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson said that has criticized the statement from German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, and he said that there is importance of supplying such missiles, and Germany should be a member of international coalition and should make the same decisions which would be made by the UK government and the United States government next week. And there is a big expectations that the US and the UK would allow Ukraine to strike deep inside Russia with UK-made missiles next week. But there are negotiations only about the possible strikes by Ukraine with long-range British Storm Shadow cruise missiles. However, Biden's administration still hesitates to allow Ukraine to strike Russia with US-made missiles ATACMS. Meanwhile, there was an assassination attempt towards the former US President Donald Trump. It's the major news from the United States. A person tried to escape from the scene. He tried to kill former US President Donald Trump. This person was arrested. Also, he had a rifle with him near the golf club of the former US President. US President Joe Biden said that he would allow all law enforcement agencies to do their job, and he instructed to use all resources to ensure the security of Donald Trump's. Also, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said that it would be a good news that he's confident that it's a good news that Donald Trump is safe and he's still alive. So President Zelensky is happy that and is positive towards this news. Is positive about the fact that this assassination attempt was a failed one, and he's happy that Donald Trump is safe and sound and is safe, and the safe is ensured by the law enforcement officers. Also, former US President Donald Trump says that it was a good news that Joe Biden called him and ensured the safety for his person and safety for his team. That's all for today. Subscribe on our YouTube channel, stay with us on YouTube, and glory to Ukraine.